As I shared with you earlier, 24 months ago this past June, we moved my family, my young family, away from Dallas-Fort Worth, again, where we knew family, friends, and a network. Moved to Indianapolis, Indiana, that metro area, to start a new church where we didn't know a soul. Now, Indianapolis is a beautiful city. I don't know if you've ever been there. They say it's a city on the rise. The economy is humming. It's growing in every single direction, north, south, east, and west. It's a great place to live. It's Americana, really. But it is woefully underchurched. Guys, it ain't Springfield. It ain't Springfield. Just 8 to 9 hours north of you, there in Indianapolis, is an unchurched metro city where the majority don't know Jesus Christ from a man to the moon, and there's not enough churches to tell them. Every 5 people, if I took you back home with me, and maybe I could use a few people, a few good people. But every 5 people that you meet in Indianapolis, 4 of them don't go to church anywhere. Every 5 people you meet, 4 of them don't go to church. Listen to this. Every 10 people you meet, 9 of them statistically won't go to heaven when they die. And nobody expects that to change. You want to know why? Because there's not enough churches there to change that trajectory. There's just not enough churches to get the job done to change that 4 out of 5, that 9 out of 10 to something different. And so nobody thinks that's going to change because there's just not enough church density. There's just not enough churches to change it. And so the need to start new churches in Indianapolis is great. But here's what I want you to hear from me. As great as the need is to start new churches in Indianapolis, that is not why I moved my family 1,000 miles north to start one there. The need is great, sure, but that's not why we did it. The reason why we started church in Indianapolis is because we became convinced that that's what God wanted us to do as a family. And we believed it would be disobedient not to go with Him to do it. We got to a place where we are afraid not to go. Knowing who He is and knowing that I was going to have to give Him an account for my life, I didn't want to have to make an excuse someday about why I didn't go. And so I'm glad the need is great, but that's not why we're there. And that's not why we're going to freeze to death this winter. We'll put on a coat and plant our church there because God wanted us to. And we are afraid not to do what He wanted us to do. And so sometimes you get so inundated with needs, you hear all these stats, and you become overwhelmed. Well, don't let that confuse you. Just be obedient, and you'll find yourself in the middle of God's will. Who would have thought that Indianapolis was God's will for our life? But what got us there? A fear of God. Afraid not to do what He wanted us to do. Afraid not to plant the church that He had dreamed of in Indianapolis with us there. And so the fear of God brought my family into His will for our life. And a fear of God will keep my family in His will for our life. And we be afraid not to do exactly what He wants us to do.